In this phase of the software, we're going to be marking the margins of the teeth to help the software to segment the teeth. It has to approximate, based on the geometry of the teeth, where the margins are. To do so, we have the option of dragging individual nodes, I'll call these little dots nodes, or holding the shift button. Remember, that is the button that allows us to activate a tool and just draw a line. Okay. And I simply run around all the teeth. I don't go buccal, lingual, or whatever. I just stick to the lingual of all the teeth. Some teeth are much easier than others. Also depends on which teeth you plan to move. If you're not planning to move a tooth, I still recommend getting it close, but don't worry about getting the finest of detail. In fact, it's really not that important that you get it perfect on any teeth. As we are dealing with plastic aligner trays, it's going to be inherently flexible. So if you miss a little bit of the gingiva or you incorporate a little gingiva or whatnot, it's really not going to be the end of the world. As most of us dentists or technicians are, we get pretty picky and can spend some time wasting time trying to get things perfect. So be aware, it is very easy to spend too much time on this phase. I recommend just kind of getting in and getting out. And most of the editing I do, as you see, is I draw the line, and then if I have to, I will grab the nodes to more fine-tune that process. And I will go ahead and fast forward the video from here because there's not much more to say. Okay, so one of the things I want you to make sure you do is in the anterior, because the contacts become more pointed, make sure that you can see your red line over top of the incisal embrasure. If it disappears, be sure to drag one of the nodes up over top. We want the lines to be right on top of each other effectively. You don't want them overlapping in the sense of this, but you do want them being coincident. The software is going to section the teeth like it's taking a saw right down between those. Now, if you leave the two lines separated, it's going to assume that the teeth are slightly separated. You're going to be inherently creating a diastema, okay, or inadvertently, I should say. Now, if you leave a space, that's if you leave a space. Now, if you leave them overlapped, the software has no other way but to think that somehow these two teeth are occupying the same space, which means it will show you an IPR value at the very beginning of treatment, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because obviously if you haven't done any IPR, how could the teeth be quite literally overlapping? Well, it's because you told the software they were overlapping. So just be aware of that. Make sure your lines are touching each other, right on top of each other, but not actually crossing over or leaving space between the two of them. This task right here, this phase, is it's fairly easy, but it can chew up a lot of time as you start getting more and more picky about things. I certainly spend more time than is necessary. Okay, now we're down to the lower model. Go to the buccal. Okay, so we are now done segmenting. The last step of this process is we're going to determine which teeth we're planning to move. Now, we're going to set teeth as active or static. Now, you could leave every single tooth active, and that way you could have the flexibility of moving any teeth you wanted. But that also is going to chew up processor time. So what I like to do is I'm not going to move. In this case, this is a very simple cosmetic ortho case. I'm really only wanting the ability to move, 2, maybe 3 of these incisors. This incisor looks good, but I'll go ahead and leave myself all 4 incisors. So I can click on a tooth and click on static, click on a tooth, click on static, or I can just right click on the tooth it will automatically turn it static. Or I can even come over here and right click on these diagram teeth and it will turn them to static. If I want to undo one, I just right click it again. Fairly simple. So now those 4 teeth are the only ones that are now active, the only ones that I'm going to have the ability to manipulate. So I'm going to head back to the maxilla because I skipped that step before. And I want to have the ability to move everything, once again, incisor to incisor. So I'm just going to come over here and just right click on all of them. Every other tooth is going to stay still, and we're just going to mess with the incisors. So now we're going to be able to click to continue. Well, we've already done the mandible. Click the teeth moving. This is where we're going to actually get the opportunity to start aligning teeth. And I will pick up in that module with the next video, that phase in the next video.